So again, good morning. Again, my name is Brittany, and I am happy to be moderating this particular session. You guys are going to hear from the phenomenal husband and wife team, Terry and Ken Yancey, and this particular event is sponsored by Worldwide Technology. Terry English Yancey is, of course, the CEO, the Chief Executive Office for Third Wave Marketing, and she brings 23 years of program policy, procedure, responsible fiscal management, and strategic planning with tactical, detailed experience. Data and positive outcome driven, Terry effectively manages compliance and finance matters relative to Proverbs Holding LLC. I know personally about this. And while making efficiency decisions and appropriate delegations. Please welcome Terry English Yancey. And then, of course, we have Kenneth P. Yancey. He is the Chief Digital Marketing and Data Officer for Proverbs Holding LLC. Kenneth is a serial entrepreneur and visionary with digital, mobile marketing, software development, telecommunications, and real estate development talents and experience. Kenneth's unique expertise and background is a result from over 35 years of leading successful multi-million-dollar projects, especially for big data, software, marketing, and telecommunications powerhouses such as IBM, Sprint, Cisco Systems, and Faith Properties. Please join me in welcoming Terry and Ken Yancey with Third Wave Marketing.
All right. Well, good morning and good afternoon to some. And thank you, Brittany, for that nice introduction. Again, my name is Terry English Yancey. I am the CEO of Third Wave Marketing. I always say that we are a small business with corporate capabilities, and combined on our team, outside of Kenneth and myself, we have over 100 years of experience. And as Brittany alluded to, my background is in program management. I have 23 years with that experience. And so Kenneth today is going to present to you all why digital marketing is essential. So I'll hand it over to my business partner and my other half. As some say, I'm the better half, but he's my better half too. But we work well together. We do everything together.
I can't do it without her. That's all I know.
Yeah.
I can't do it without her. Okay, I'm going to let me jump into this. Can you all see? You can't see my screen yet. Let me start sharing. Okay. Okay, let me do it that way. Can you see that?
Can.
Okay, well,
It's not syncing for some reason. Go ahead.
Can you see that?
We can.
Okay, why digital marketing is essential? You see that on the screen? I'm sharing. We got two monitors here, so I'm going to use that. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is that word essential has been thrown around a lot because of the pandemic that we're in, but I want to share with you today why digital marketing is essential. Now, traditional marketing, that's your radio, TV, and print, is never going away, never going away. But in terms of reaching people and knowing who you're talking to and what they really need, you're going to have to go the digital marketing way. So I'm going to get into this here. Let me go over here. Where'd it go? There we go. Oh, wait a minute. Something's broke here. Let me put it on this one here. Let me go back. Hold on a second. We got to switch screens here. The screen is not popping up, right? Where's it at? Okay. Can you all see that screen?
We still see why digital marketing is essential.
How about that?
There we go. I've got two pictures.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we've got two monitors happening here. So that's our background. So Terry, again, much better manager than I am. I'm the guy who creates and develops things and make things happen. But at the same time, we're going to talk about marketing. So when I first learned marketing from college and working at Sprint, we talked about the 4 Ps of marketing. We talked about the product, price, place, and promotion. But there's 5 companies today that are running the world. They've added a 5th P, and that 5th P is people. But behind that 5th P is really data. So I'm going to share with you. There was a study concluded in 2017 that said this, right? That data is now more valuable than oil, crude oil, you know, the stuff that runs our cars and houses and all that. Data is more powerful and more valuable than oil. And these 5 companies, they have proved it because 4 of them are worth over $1 trillion. You're going to know these companies in a minute when I bring them up. So here's what the SBA says about marketing. So if you're a new company, the SBA says you should allocate 12 to 20% of your gross revenue, not net, your gross revenue to marketing. So people can know who you are and you can know who they are and what you need to be providing for them. So if you're an established company, the SBA says 6 to 12%. So you say, well, why would I want to spend money on marketing? So you can do it or you can not do it. Most small businesses, including myself when I first started, we didn't have enough revenue to really do marketing. So we went to our friends, we did some email stuff. We started going to these networking events and all that sort of thing. But as you grow, to really scale and to continue to grow, I'm just suggesting that you follow the SBA model because it works. We're doing it and it works. So even if you're an existing business, I'm talking about like a Walmart and McDonald's, they still do marketing. They have to. So that's what the SBA says in terms of marketing percentages of your gross revenue, not your net, but your gross. Okay, this is what I was telling you earlier. So 2017, so we realized this about 10 years ago that data was becoming very, very powerful. So you can see some of the companies in that image there that I want to share with you what they're doing and how they're doing it. So again, data is very, very powerful in terms of what we're doing today. So we're sitting here on Zoom's platform. We're actually in Zoom's cloud, if you will, okay? So Zoom will know our IP addresses and they know where we're at. They know where you're at physically. They know if you're on your phone, if you're on your computer or laptop. They know all that. So will they use it? Yes. For their own marketing needs? Yes. Will they sell your data? I don't know. But I know they know what we're doing here because data is what it's all about. So here are the 5 companies. Here are the 5 companies I'm telling you about. So Google, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, and Facebook. So if you look at the ages, people think Facebook is young. No, Facebook is 17 years old. Again, Mark Zuckerberg and most of these companies, the way they're reaching people, they're using what we call open source software. And so what that means is that 10 years ago, back in the old days, we used to have to hire Capgemini, IBM, Accenture to write programs for us that we call proprietary. No. You don't have to do that anymore. These companies are not using proprietary software. They're using open source software that they don't own. That means we get to use it and they can't do anything about it. So at the end of the day, you see the ages of these companies. Microsoft being the oldest, 46 years old. But at the end of the day, these companies together, they're worth $7 trillion together. So that's about 31% of the US GDP. They're extremely wealthy companies to the point where most of them self-insure themselves. And the way they do that and why they do that, they have the cash to do it. So if anything happens, they can just pay for it themselves. So I talked about earlier this data thing. So back in the day, I keep saying the old days, 10 years ago, radio, TV, and print, we used to have what we call broadcast radio, broadcast TV. Does that sound familiar to everybody? Okay, so what they would do and what we would do is in marketing, we would generate a campaign and we would just say, okay, all I need is 1 to 3%. I'm good. Okay, I'm good. Let me just get 1 to 3% because I'm gonna broadcast this out to all the people, millions of people. I just get 1 to 3%, I'm good. Okay, that's how it used to be. These 5 companies, they don't do it that way, and we don't do it that way. They realized, okay, over 10 years ago that there's 7 generations alive on planet Earth. Everybody on this Zoom call, you're going to fit into one of these generations, right? And so what these 5 companies do, and we do, is that we write our messages to fit the generation. We want the same outcome, if you will, but the messaging is different. I wouldn't talk to a millennium the same way I would talk to a Gen Alpha person. There are different stages of life. They have different needs and wants, interests. So these 5 companies, the reason why they grew so fast, so big, so fast, I would say, is because they know who they're talking to. They know what we want. And yes, the pandemic has been terrible. We've experienced COVID, Terry and I, we've had it and lived through it and all that. But what it has done for these 5 companies is that it has allowed them to grow even faster. Yes, because everybody's online. We have to be online in some cases. And the data is rich. Now, I've never seen, in 35 years, I've never seen the data so rich. What I mean by that is so accurate. It's so accurate now that I'm like, wow, because usually most data is like 60 to 70% accurate. Now the data, our data is 92% accurate. That's just unheard of. So again, the pandemic allowed that because again, we need you online. Because when you're online, you have this thing called an IP address, and that's your fingerprints online. Your IP address is identical to your street address. You would not get any mail delivered to your house or Amazon package if you did not have a street address. So that IP address is how we route things to you, be it phone, computer, laptop, notepad, whatever it is. That IP address is now really your credit card. So protect your IP address. In many cases, it's too late, especially if you're online a lot. They already have it. And again, I tell people this, we can't be afraid of this big brother thing. That, I don't know if people did that on purpose or what. Every time I hear them, I think, why do they keep saying that? We want to embrace the big brother thing and understand it and leverage it for our benefit. You know, it's not just the government doing it. We can do it. These 5 companies have done it. That's why 4 of them are worth $1 trillion. They know how to leverage big data. And so I'm saying now, minority companies can do it because the way these 5 companies are doing it, they don't own the software that they're using. We use the same thing they do. So there's your generations. So when it comes down to digital marketing, there's 3 critical components, okay? 3 critical components. You have to have the right copy, okay? That's what you say, how you say it, because at the end of the day, where's my phone? I lost my phone. Oh, here it is. At the end of the day, all we're trying to do is get people to stop. We do this all day long. I'm not the only one now. Don't single me out. We do this all day long. So the objective is to write copy that says, hey, what is that? Okay, if the copy doesn't get them, you have to have the right image. And that image could be a picture or a video. And sometimes the picture has nothing to do with the copy, or the image has nothing to do with the copy, because what you're trying to do is just get them to stop. So in other words, I could be trying to talk about the homeless, right? But I'm depends on who I'm in front of. I could be showing ice cream if it's warm outside. We can do anything now with AI because we know who we're talking to. So the last thing you want to do is have the right audience, right? And I call it hyper. I made this one up here. I call it hyper target, because what it is, we're going to allow the AI to learn you, and we're going to only send our campaign to the people we know, and the people we know what they want. Anything else is a waste of time. There's no longer a need to spam, cold call, hope I talk to the right person. That's gone. So again, but if you think about big data in government, they want to, I don't know, they're trying to scare us or whatever. I'm not scared of it. I'm saying embrace big data. Embrace it and understand who you're talking to so your company can grow. That's what happened to us. We really leverage this AI model, and we know who we're talking to. We know exactly who we're talking to. So those are the 3 components of digital marketing. So again, traditional marketing, radio, TV, and print, never going anywhere. Never, ever going anywhere. But how we're getting the content has changed. When was the last time you bought a newspaper? How much radio do you actually listen to right now? That's not streamed, right? How much, TV do you really watch? Well, here lately, we all been watching my TV. Okay, I'll stop. But that is being streamed to you as well. Netflix, Hulu, all of them are sitting on what we call an artificial intelligence platform, right? That they know when you stop watching TV, they know where you're going next. They know, and there's nothing to be afraid of. So you have to say to yourself, I like that idea. How can I take advantage of that? That's what we did. So let me take you to our actual website. This is where the tricky part comes in, because it's not going to go. Hold on 1 second. We've got a bug here. Let me switch this. I'm going to stop sharing for a second and do something here because our dual monitors, there we go. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm just going to go to the website. Bear with me. Okay. I'm going to share my screen again. Do you see that? Can you guys see that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's our website. It's a very simple website on purpose. So because of the data and the fact that we know that the pandemic has really ransacked, the Hispanic and African American communities, we built a program that will talk about the importance of vaccine. And how are we able to do that? Because we know where these generations of African Americans and Hispanics, we know where they're at. They've told us where they're at. So we can send messages right to them. And so right now we have 3 different services, right? We do what we call OmniTarget. OmniTarget, all it is, I'm sorry, hold on one second, there we go. OmniTarget is that we took the top 8 powerful social media channels and brought them all together. So behind the scenes, Third Wave Marketing, we are a software development company and a marketing company, all in one. Again, those 5 companies, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, they're all software companies, but they all have a telecommunications background to them. For example, we're sitting here in our office, we're on Google Fiber. Yeah, the people with the browser that you search stuff, now they're into telecom. I'm sure by now you've made a phone call on Facebook. I'm sure you have, LinkedIn. So it's all blurred. So what you have to do is leverage these social media channels. And again, look at them now. When I look at these, I see generations. So Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, doing great, but using AI, he realized that a certain generation was not spending enough time on Facebook. In other words, he couldn't sell enough ads. So what did he do? He went and spent a couple $1 billion, bought a couple programmers, and built Instagram. And for that generation Z, right, and the millennials, most of the millennials, but because they didn't want to be on social media with their parents and their uncles and aunties. So again, all of these, in my opinion, they're all generational based, right? Look at LinkedIn. We all know what's happening with LinkedIn. 5 years ago, LinkedIn didn't look the same way it looks today. Why does LinkedIn look like Facebook now? Because they get it now. They understand that interface is very important and the functionality has to be something that people are comfortable with. That's why they shifted. So we have OmniTarget, we have Target Text, we own Target Text source code. We've got 130 million nationwide opt-in mobile phone numbers in our database. And then we have this. I'm gonna try to minimize this. Good, okay. So Internet of Things, they want us to kind of walk you all through why you need, again, digital marketing. Why is it essential? So you can do things like this, right? So if you go to Internet of Things, that's how we're tracking you guys. This is why you have to have digital marketing, right? And these are the 4 components to Internet of Things: product, network access, a cloud like we're in right now, blockchain that's going to encrypt your communications, your data. In fact, when we first became exposed to blockchain 3 years ago, I fell out of my chair because if blockchain was here 15 years ago, we would still have a music industry, because all blockchain is doing is that it's encrypting your data like your credit card is encrypted. When you swipe your credit card, those numbers are encrypted. We never had that for data. What do you mean, Ken? I'm talking about for music. I'm talking about for MP3s. We didn't have it back then. So that's how the music industry was disrupted, really dismantled, because we couldn't encrypt that data. Now we can. Artificial intelligence. So again, digital marketing is essential. You have to do this. And we don't have anything to sell today, but you have to get into digital marketing. Traditional marketing is never going away. But to realize and to do what Amazon has done to Walmart and the entire retail industry. How did they do that? How did they, they didn't take Walmart out of business, but they're most definitely worth more than Walmart. From a market cap perspective, they're worth more than Walmart. How did they do that? Because they're using digital marketing, right? All of them are using it. So if you go so these are all our certifications. Terry, she did a fantastic job pulling all these certifications together. And again, we're just trying to make sure that you all understand the importance of the essential part of digital marketing. So I'm gonna pause there and see if there's any questions, and we'll go back to our presentation here shortly. Brittany,
Perfect.
you
If
there?
anyone does have any questions, thank you so much, Kenneth, for sharing that information with us. If anyone has any questions, you can feel free to put them in the chat and I can go ahead and ask them. But I had a question for you. What are some ways that minority-owned businesses can target those generational audiences out in the realm of, like you said, social media? Like, do you recommend that you have all of your social media accounts on your website, or is there a place on your business card you feel like you should place them specifically? Can you just give us some more insight on ways that minority-owned businesses can specifically target all of those generations so that you're actually getting that impact?
That's a very good question. So one of the things, again, that I really, really like about digital marketing is that you can train it. You can train it. It can learn very, very quickly. So for example, let's say that you have a spreadsheet of people you want to reach, regardless of, and you don't know their ages yet. You don't know their ages, but you have a spreadsheet basically. You don't know their ages and all that. And you don't know what social media you should use. What you could do is upload that list. All you need is 76 email addresses, right? And names. Upload that into Facebook and drive that traffic from Facebook to your website, okay? Here's the only thing about these social media channels like Facebook, Instagram, they will never let you export any data. They want the data, okay? So what you have to do is use them, to answer your question, use your social media to drive traffic to your website based on who you put in there. So that's how I would do it. That's how we do it today, is we actually make sure we're talking to the right people by starting with our existing client base. So that's how minority companies can do it. I know you have an existing client base. All you need is 76 email addresses or names, and you can build a digital marketing program that will send what I call pre-qualified people, right, to your website. Now, once they get to your website, okay, a website to me is a billboard, unless it does something, unless it's working. Just to have a pretty website, it's not enough anymore. That website has to work. So what I'm suggesting is that when you drive the traffic from one of the social medias, they hit your website. You have to have that website conduct what I call your follow-up. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the same way Amazon does us when we buy something from them. They always send us an email about, you bought this, other people bought that, we think you're going to need this in the future. They know. So that's how I would do it, is to make sure that you use your existing database, leverage your existing database. Then you can learn, what social media you should be using based on how they respond to you. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Next question is, what would be the amount or, excuse me, let me be very clear on the verbiage. What would be the consistency in which you would suggest posting on those platforms to drive more traffic towards either your website or your business growth?
Excellent question. Yes. We have a 90-day rule. So if anybody believes or anybody tells you that they can do something for you in a week, you may want to turn the page, okay? Because okay, so here's marketing 101, right? And so most people that I know, let me go back to this slide here. Can you guys see our slide? Can you see it? Okay, a lot of companies and people, they know all about promotion, but that's only one of the P's of marketing. They know how to get you to a place. That's the second P. But marketing is really building a relationship. So in other words, you got to warm people up to you before you ask for something. For in other words, I gave an example in the last session, is that if I walked into a nightclub and I want to be married, okay, and I see someone who's attractive, I don't just walk over to her and say, hey, let's get married. It doesn't work that way. I go over there, I introduce myself, I get to know her, she gets to know me, I take her around my family, let them get to know her, and then the question may come up. It may come up. But my point is, you have to warm them up. So 90 days, you should allow yourself 90 days to see the impact of your marketing, minimum 90 days.
I love that. I think that's one of the things that I try to also drive home to MBEs is that One of the things that I think that technology has blessed and cursed us with is that instant gratification. And so we're always thinking, I should get these bids or these contracts right now. I should get that traffic from my Instagram and my Snapchat right now. And I love that you spoke to that longevity. There is that wait, there is that time in which you have to not only put in the work, because similar to what you said, marketing isn't just about that promotion.
No.
It's those connections. And so putting in that time and that effort to get to that place is one of those key elements. Another question we have is, would you suggest to using those social mediums and those social media platforms, would you suggest the fees and payments that come with the advertising and things of that nature? Or do you have another suggestion on ways to reach a larger audience using your social media platforms?
Yeah, so again, Facebook, I've been saying this for 12 years now. Facebook is not free. It's not free. None of these social media platforms are free. Now, to the users, we're thinking it's free, but they have our data, right? So that's what it costs us our data to use Facebook. So at the end of the day, we want to just make sure that everyone is understanding that digital marketing. I'm gonna go back to my 90-day rule just for one more second, okay, 1 second. So another reason why you want to allow time, one thing you can do with digital marketing, you can't do with traditional marketing. Once you put an ad in the paper, it's there. Once you put a TV commercial, it's there. Radio, it's there. You can't change it once it's out there. With digital market, we do what we call split testing. In other words, that first week, see how I did. It didn't do very. I can tweak things, right, through software to get to that outcome I want. So I want to make sure I answered the question. Can you almost repeat the question again? I may have lost it. Say that. Read that question one more time for me, Brittany.
Sure. So the question is, do you suggest utilizing those social mediums and paying for them to send out more information to followers? Or is there another suggestion that you have in order to drive more traffic towards your social media platforms and your website?
Okay, no, pay them. Okay, so there's paid traffic and there's what we call organic traffic. Pay them. Again, back to that model, pay them. That's what I was talking about here. You have to pay for some of your traffic. Now, there's going to be some organic traffic, just kind of finds you through their friends, whatever. But yeah, I would definitely pay them and make sure that, again, your strategy is clear. So one way you can do that is build what we call a mini business case. And that's basically what I did with Terry. I interviewed Terry, right? And we found out what she was really trying to accomplish. And so looking at the digital marketing, we're able to build a digital marketing strategy, right? That we can tweak every 2 weeks until we get to that point where, oh, that's it. And once you get to that's it, you just let it ride. Now, with any marketing, it will get stale. Okay, so again, that's that 90-day rule back again. That's why I got confused or got sidetracked, because it's all connected.
They're all circular, right? It's all the
same. They're all together to me. But yeah, you want to be able to, your ad will get stale. So don't think you're gonna, I'll just spend $1,000 now, and if I don't get anything, I'm gonna stop. No, give yourself time, and then whoever you're working with, let them tweak. We call it split test. Let them split test. Ask them to split test your campaign every week, every 2 weeks, so you can see how it's doing. You can see what's not working. You can see if you need to change, it's only 3 pieces. I shouldn't say only, but it is. It's only 3 pieces. And again, our perspective of marketing is probably, I'm not saying we know everything, but our perspective is marketing is common sense. It really is. Again, you want to make sure you got these 3 things working for you, right? That copy. We had a question in the last session talking about email. How can I avoid getting out of spam? Well, first of all, if you do a digital marketing campaign using AI, you're not going to be in anybody's spam because you're going to be sending emails to people who are already looking for what you're talking about. You just found them. So it's different now. Again, there's no need for cold calling, spamming people or again, knocking on doors, hoping they want. No, you don't have to do it that way. These companies, they would have never got this big if they did it that way. They know what we're doing. And so they know where we're going next and where we've been. Make sense?
Makes sense. Thank you for that. Another question is, how often would you update your business's website to ensure that that traffic stays consistent?
Very good question. So it's not more the website you want to update. You want to make sure your follow-up. Again, if a website is not working for you, get rid of it. I'll just get to the point here. If it's not working, if it's just pretty, get rid of it. You want that website to actually work for you in terms of responding. Again, look how Amazon does. Look how anybody that you buy something from, they always follow up with you, right? And you always have the option to opt out, but you want to make sure your messages that's in the follow-up matches how you got their attention. That's the secret sauce right there. So I'm just giving that away. That's the secret sauce, MBEs. You have to make sure your follow-up messages is related to how you got their attention the first time. That's how Amazon, well, I won't tell on Terry. Amazon is always at our door for some reason. They're always there, you know. And so they know what she likes, okay? And the follow-up is connected to how they got her. That's how it is. So again, I go back to this big data, big brother and all that, the big government. Don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid. Don't get the hoodwink on that. Learn it. Understand how you can leverage it. They did. That's not the government. They have to, well, you know, they're bigger than the government in some cases. They're bigger than some governments in some of these nations. But again, understanding what this big data really means. And this is a great time to be alive because, again, access to the data, leveraging the data, you don't have to ask anybody's permission. You don't have to hire a company to write you proprietary software. You can use these platforms, or you can get your own open source software. That's what we did. We just wrote our own open source software. So what am I saying? What are you saying, Ken? I'm saying Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of them. They don't own that software. They don't have any copyright on that software. You can build your own Facebook. You can build your own Instagram, whatever you want. It's because the software is free. You just have to know how to build it. So I just want to encourage people, because big brother's watching us. Don't fall for that anymore. Use it. They did. Look how big they are. And we're doing it too. We're doing it too. And I'd like to see more MBEs use it. Use the data. If you only start with a spreadsheet, again, a database is nothing more than a spreadsheet. That's all a database is. It's a spreadsheet. So if you have that, start with that, upload that into Facebook, and Facebook has and this is a nugget, a gold nugget for these MBEs so we can grow together. Facebook has a service called Lookalike service. And all it is artificial intelligence. So again, all it takes is 76 email addresses and names. You can upload that into Facebook, and Facebook will send the ad to the 76 people, and everybody like them all over the world. So you can sit right here in Kansas City, and we've done this now. Everything I'm telling you is not something we thought about, tested. No, we're doing this. And we put a pause right there. We were able to do this because Terry, and I shared this with her when she first became the CEO. She was like, well, why are we doing so many political campaigns? Why? Because when I was at Sprint and Cisco, I had unlimited R&D budget. I could do anything I wanted, play with anything I want to play with, test anything. But as a small business, like an MBE, like us, we had to find a creative way to do the same thing. So understanding the telecom law, which I had to, because at Cisco, we built Vonage. So I understand the telecom law. It changes and go back and forth and all that. But at the end of the day, your politicians, they get a waiver. They get to contact you as long as they're not selling you anything. Yes, they can contact you for donations. Yeah, they had to give you a way out, right? So that's why the robocalls went too far. It went too far. Now text messaging is just about there. My point is, we used the political campaigns that we were involved with. We put 15 people in office over 10 years. Mayors, council people, people on school boards. Why did we do that? Because that allowed us to test things. It allowed us to test. So what do I need to say to that voter that's a millennial? What do I need to say to baby boomers? Do I need to do a robocall and do a mailing to them? So we learned based on the political environment that we don't do the politics stuff no more. We graduated from that program. We don't want to do it. We don't have to do it anymore. I'm very grateful for that, by the way. Very grateful. But again, we have a lot of friends in that area, but at the same time, you want to be able to reach the people. I keep going back to these 5 companies. Y'all know who they are. They touch our lives every day. When we first wake up, they're there. They're right there. So any other questions?
I think the last question, unless if anybody else has any more questions, feel free again to put those in the chat. But I think the last question is, how has third wave marketing seen the success in using not only all of the different technologies, AI, encrypting, but also those social mediums to increase their MBE presence, but also increase their presence amongst other corporate business owners?
Very, very good question. So from the government to individuals to businesses. So you've got your B2B, your C2B, right? All of them, they're on some sort of social media program. And we use text messaging. Now, what we discovered, again, we were involved in those campaigns, we learned this. What we found out is that text messages, we may not do anything, but we look at our text messages within 30 seconds of receiving them, right? Now, social media, on the other hand, we get a lot of ads nowadays. So that may take a longer time to respond to that. So what we do is we have a hybrid model to reach, the government, the individuals, and the businesses through texting and through what we call a voiceless voicemail drops. In other words, we can call people now, these businesses, if you will, and their phone doesn't ring, and it goes right into their voicemail box. So what are you talking about, Ken? I'm talking about, I'm sure this has happened to you. You will check your voicemail. You say, I'll have a voicemail. Hey, my phone didn't ring. That's on purpose now, because the lobbyists flew out to DC and said, people don't like robocalls anymore. Yeah, we know. Okay, we got this new technology. It's called ringless voicemail. I want to be able to call them so I won't disturb them, but I want to go into their voicemail box. Okay, you can do it. Again, the politicians started using that first. They get a waiver because they write the laws. And so I hope I answered your question. So we have multiple ways to reach consumers, businesses, and the government via social media, text messaging, and then we don't do robocalls anymore. We do what we call, again, these voicemail drops, right? That your phone never rings, but if you check your voicemail, we're going to be there. And then once you check the voicemail, we can give you a way to navigate through buttons to come back to our website. Yes, you can press a button on a voicemail and end up on someone's website, because normally, according to our data, 87% of the time, you're checking your voicemail from what? A mobile phone. So if I click on a link on my mobile phone, I can go to a website. So if I press a button on my phone, I can be redirected to a website. So there's a lot of different ways you can reach people. Again, I'm sharing all this because I would love to see the MBEs grow. I would love to see them grow. We're growing, and we want everybody to grow. Come on, let's go. Let's grow together.
Absolutely. I said that in the last session. I definitely believe that everybody should be able to eat, right?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, you shouldn't be
So
just
we should all be able to help each other. And I think one of the biggest things that you touched upon, and I love that you're like, everyone should grow, but that even speaks to us using each other's social media platforms,
yes,
as well as each other's websites, and growing that traffic. And one of the things I try to impress upon all of our MBEs is that, especially with the Mountain Plains Council, we have 250 plus MBEs in just our network. Imagine if all 250 of us followed each other, shared each other's websites, spoke with each other about these different platforms. The amount of traffic and business that we would incur as a community, as a whole MBE community, would grow phenomenally, right? Just based upon the amazing value and information that you've given us just here. So imagine that impact that we would have amongst each other. And then you think about our MBE network nationwide. There's over 13,000 MBEs nationwide. There is no reason why all of us don't have that digital marketing aspect, and we're not utilizing each other to build each other, make these brands grow, and say, we're here, use us, right?
Yeah, exactly. I love that. So what she just described in my opinion, is how to leverage big data. Okay, when you have that many, 13,200, 250 is a lot, because if you look at that 250, okay, I'm gonna use myself as an example. I have 5,000 friends on Facebook. So that is not really 250 people. Each one of those 250 have friends, right? They're connected with. So you're right on point, Brittany. That's how we scale. That's how we leverage and not be afraid of big data. We use it. Use it.
Yes, exactly.
Nothing to be scared of. Don't be scared.
That's it. You can't be scared. And I think that's the other thing that I also try to impress on everyone is that at the end of the day, you know, we're all brought up under this guise of the American dream. And oftentimes that idea of the American dream means you're not supposed to work with others to get that dream established. And I think one of the things that's very important for all of us to be mindful of is that even if, you know, Terry and Kenneth have this whole third wave marketing company. They have Proverbs Holding as a company that, you know, establishes different connections through mobile software and things of that nature. Imagine if we used that company along with, you know, we have another MBE that does staffing. Imagine the impact of connecting that staffing company with that marketing company, with the company that does employee celebrations, with the company that does chocolatiering, with the company that does coffee. The impact we would have in just this council would build that dream, right?
Well, you know, you're really stepped on my toes right there. Let me say something. You're right on point, because again, there is a new Facebook coming, right? And that Facebook I'm saying that's coming, it's going to do what you said, what you just said. See, right now, Facebook is more about, you know, hanging out with friends and, you know, what I'm eating. I put a lot of food on my Facebook. I know, put a lot of food on my, but think about if you had a social media program or platform that can do what you said. And it can. Facebook can do it, but that's not what he's about. He's about selling some ads. That's what he's about. But you can build your own. My point is, you can build your own private Facebook platform that can do just that. That it would interconnect all the resources. So it's like following on steroids, right? It's like following people. So in other words, I have an opportunity, right? And it's there, and I'm already connected to all these other MBEs that have services that complement what I do, and that brings additional value to what I do. So I love that idea. Love it. That's how Facebook really should work. Now, think about it now. You may have seen this on TV, or if you watch TV or streaming, Facebook is really pushing their Facebook groups now, right? Because they see that being what is needed. And you just described a Facebook group, you know, but you don't have to do that on Facebook. You don't. You can do it. We can build our own. I'm just big in having our own stuff if we can.
Let's just do an MBE book.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Okay, but it can't be blue. It can't look like Facebook, though. It's the same software. It's the same software. But it can't be blue. It can't. Okay, you get the point.
I love that. Well, thank you.
I did have a question come across. What are some of the best practices that you recommend using for websites and just social media campaigns, things like that?
Well, very good question. The first thing you want to do is you want to, you know, come up with a set of questions that pretty much builds what I call a mini business case, not a huge business case, but enough information that will identify who you're going after. Now, I tell people all the time, websites. Now, we build all our own websites, okay? But websites, in my opinion, are billboards, right? In other words, they're just sitting there. They're just sitting there. So you've got to generate some traffic to that website, right? And the traffic generators, right, or those social media channels that you just asked about. Use Facebook, Instagram, and these 5 or 8 social media channels to generate traffic to your website. Now, when they get to your website, there's several things you can do when they get there. One is, again, everything is tracked. It's just what it is. You're noticing when you go to websites, they're telling you now, and this is because of what happened with the last election, not the last one, the one before that, GDPR. There's some bad things that happen with data with that particular election. So now when you go to websites, they'll tell you, we're tracking you. So my point is, when they come to your website, you can get their information without them even filling out a form, but you have to let them know you're doing that. Okay, so again, we can't be afraid of this. This what's happening now. We've got to understand how to harness the data and use the data. So hopefully I answered your question, but yeah, that's what I would do, is get me a mini business case, who I'm going after, what's my message, what's my image, okay, to use these social media outlets to drive traffic to your website, because Facebook will not let you export any data. None of these social media channels will give you any data. They want the data. So you've got to drive them to your platform so you can control the data, okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much. Are there any trends that you have seen come across through the data and through the companies that you work with that have been helping minority businesses just kind of overall? Are there any trends that you've been seeing?
Yes. I have been seeing some trends. In fact, I just asked a question in the last session to T-Mobile about, because of the pandemic, people are just more online. So there's a lot of data for minority companies to get their hands on to offer services. Again, you don't need to cold call anymore. You don't need to spam anybody. You don't need to just post things on Facebook hoping somebody like what you're saying. You don't have to do it that way anymore. You have to understand what that data really means. Who are you talking to, and what have they clicked on? So what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about this. How did Amazon get bigger than Walmart? In fact, how did Amazon get bigger than the entire retail industry? How did they do that? Now, look at Walmart. Walmart has these very nice greeters when you walk in the door, and they also have, when you check out, they'll give you a receipt and say, hey, go to the website and give us some feedback on how we're doing. Amazon doesn't do it that way. For the last 10 years, they have been tracking us. They can anticipate and project what you're going to buy from them next. That's how they got bigger. So hopefully I answered your question. That will help minority companies greatly now you can understand who you should be giving your elevator pitch to. You don't have to talk to any and everybody anymore. Just those qualified people that either buy your service or want your program. Make sense?
Yeah, awesome. I think that's definitely something I know personally. Things pop up, I'm like, ooh, what's that?
See, they know that you clicked on something. They know you went somewhere. So they're not going to send you something you're not interested in. Again, it's just a different world. And I just encourage people, when I hear people talking about Big Brother, okay, we've got to move past that and say, okay, how can I participate in that? How can I benefit from that? So now's the time to do it. So the pandemic hasn't been all bad. I know I had COVID, Terry had COVID. That sense was bad, but from an online experience perspective and data, I have never seen data as rich as this before. And I've been doing this for 37 years. I've never seen valid data like this before. And it's because we're doing things like this right now. So, and I'm not, Zoom is in business. Zoom, they know where we're at right now. They know what we're talking about. So will they sell that data? I don't know. Some companies do something, some companies no, they don't. But I know Zoom will use it for their marketing reasons though. I know they will. I would.
Awesome. Are there any key attributes that companies should be looking for as far as where should they start as far as pinpointing their audience?
Yeah, so what they can do, very good question. I'm going back to artificial intelligence. So check this out. If you have a spreadsheet, and in your spreadsheet, you have at least 76 names, right? You can upload, I'm gonna give you a tidbit here. You can upload that spreadsheet into Facebook. Facebook has what they call a lookalike service. And all it is artificial intelligence. So what happens is that you upload these 76 people of your existing customers, right? Facebook will go out and find all of their friends, all the people that they're connected with, and what they're talking about. And will only put your ad in front of those people. So your 76 clients, as an example, your 76 clients will get their ad, but everybody that they're connected to, that they have the same hobby and interest, they'll get the ad as well. So Facebook has done a fantastic job. Google is just as, all of them are good. LinkedIn, if you look at LinkedIn, now look at LinkedIn 4 or 5 years ago. It did not look like it does today. It looks a lot like Facebook, doesn't it? Because they got it. They had to go that way because at the end of the day, you want the data. So that's what I would do is I would look at my existing customer base, the existing people you're talking to, and I would institute what I call a lookalike strategy within Facebook and Instagram. Twitter does it too. All of them do it. Google, they all do it. And I would make sure I can expand that database, okay, with qualified leads. In other words, I don't have to sit here and do an email campaign hoping somebody click on something. No, that's outdated and it's gone. We have to leverage, again, this big data. You may have heard that terminology. You have to understand and leverage the big data. And I know you have a spreadsheet. So whoever asked the question, I'm sure you have a spreadsheet with some people's names and phone numbers and email addresses somewhere. Start there. Start right there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Another question came along. Is there, I've always heard that being on the top results in Google is like the key to getting your business seen. And what's kind of the best way to go about doing that, or does it even matter?
That's a very good question. Once upon a time, I'm saying 5 years ago, that was true. There was a technology that was released called SEO, search engine optimization. They just sold and really took people's money when it came to that. You don't need that anymore. What you need is a platform, again, that's AI based, that's looking at a person's IP address. So everyone online right now, you have an IP address, right? And that IP address is your fingerprint in so many regards, right? It's going to tell me who your carrier is, what kind of machine it is. If it's a phone, if it's a laptop, it's going to tell me where you're going next. So I'm not bashing any technology, but I'm just telling you that SEO is a dinosaur in comparison to AI. So yeah, so being the first on Google, it's not important anymore. That's why you have to use all the social media channels. We have 8 of them, right? In our Omni Target. I'm not selling anything right now. I'm just telling you, you have to leverage and diversify, right? Your communications to make sure you touch these generations, because every generation, everybody's using Google, but every generation is not on Facebook. Every generation doesn't use Twitter, but like my nieces and nephew, they're wearing out their TikTok and Snapchat. They wear it out, because their parents are not on there. Their uncles and aunties are not on there. So that's just a joke. That's just a joke. Yep. Oh, let me stop sharing it. I can stop. Oh.
So we had a question come across. Should you give people your IP address or use versus your URL?
Say that again, because that meant 2 things to me. Say that one more time.
Yes. So a question is, you should probably give out more of your URL than your IP address, right? Your IP address is just what they use to track you.
Exactly. Never give out your IP address. No, that's again, I relate your IP address to your credit card number now. It's the same thing. Yeah, because I get your IP address, and again, some cases, we're going to get it anyway because you came to our website or you went to a website that we're affiliated with, and that's your fingerprint on the internet. Everything on the internet. And again, I don't know everything, but I know what I'm talking about here. When I worked at Cisco, and we went to Vonage, and Vonage wanted to start this phone, talking over the internet. Okay, how were they able to do that? IP address driven. Everything is IP address. It's kind of like your address at your physical home. Like, say your address is 5256 Cypress. That's how your mail is routed to your home. If you didn't have a physical address, you would never get any mail. If you didn't have an IP address, you couldn't do what you're doing right now. That's my point. So don't give it away. That's your credit card number. Make sense?
Yeah, awesome. Does anyone else have, we just had a question come over. As far as communicating with your clients, is there like a best practice as far as direct messaging someone or having mass emails? Is that kind of a best practice to get the, what's the word I'm looking for? So to get it to stop filtering like into spam, something like that. Is there certain keywords that you would recommend using to actually get it in the view of your clients?
Oh, yes. So that goes back to what I mentioned earlier. Again, I wouldn't send an email to anyone that's not pre-qualified to receive my email. And again, that's where your AI comes in, that will only share with or give you the data that you want or you need. So again, the days of just sending out emails and hoping someone click, you don't have to do it like that anymore. What happens is that, if you do it too much, your email address and your IP address will get blacklisted and they'll just shut you down. I'm sure some people may have experienced that already, but no. So to answer the question, I would kind of ask my email provider, whoever that is, what do they have in terms of AI that will help me identify, who I'm looking for, or here's the better model. Here's my customer base. Here's my spreadsheet. I want you to use these folks in this spreadsheet and people like them. Find them for me and only send my email to them. That's how you do it. That's how we do it. And it works. Again, we've put over 15 people in office over the last 10 years. It was political, but I had to because I got a pass, or we got a pass to do certain things because legislation allows the politicians to do things that the normal citizen can't do. They can raise money, for their campaigns using this technology and never get in trouble. It's kind of funny when I think about it. Yeah, 12 people.
Do you recommend using video or podcasts as far as getting connected to your customers? And if so, what's kind of the length of time you should shoot for? I know with TikTok, they have like a 3-minute thing, and then you swipe over to them if you want to see part 2. Is that something you would recommend, or do you recommend more podcasts or videos like on your website?
I would recommend TikTok over a podcast. I really would. So now, and Google Ads. So here's the deal. You've got about 7 seconds to get someone's attention and to keep their attention with video. Video will always say more than words, than reading something. I like to read, Terry likes to read, but most people would prefer to watch TV, if you know what I mean, okay? So what I would do is, again, you've got 7 seconds to get their attention. So the best way to, in my opinion, to do that is using a platform that's using AI. I know I keep talking about AI, but it's real. These podcasts, unless you're a podcast provider, and you can ask them this, what is your platform comprised of? In other words, are you using AI? Are you using it anywhere? Because I just don't want to be doing podcasts just to be doing. I want to make sure that my podcast is in front of a targeted, qualified audience. Now, are they going to buy from you or get excited? No, not the first time, but at least you're talking to the right person. They may not be ready to buy, but they're interested. So that's when, and I'll just give you another tidbit. So the other thing about driving traffic to your podcast or to your website, you have to have a follow-up process. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about how Amazon does it. The way they're doing it, they don't own the software to do it that way. So I'm sure we've all bought stuff from Amazon, and Amazon's always sending you something. You bought this, you may like that. You may need this in the future. So my point is, you want to make sure that you're sitting on the platform that's going to allow you to do follow-up, okay? And at some point, you can hand that follow-up to a live person, but let the software do the work for you. Let the software do it for you, because again, everything I'm telling you, I'm going back to those 5 companies that are running the world. This is how they're doing it. This is how they're doing it. These companies are huge. In fact, they're about 33% of the US GDP. I mean, these companies are so big, they self-insure themselves. And what that means is that I have enough money to cover whatever happens to me, so I'm not making payments to anybody. That's how big Google, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, they're huge. And they got that way because they understand the data. and how to use it. And we're doing the same thing. So we're doing the same thing. Sorry, I get
Wow.
kind of excited about this. I get a little excited. It's fun.
How do you avoid connecting with your customer and then getting it put into spam? Do you like, is there a subject line that you recommend putting certain words in? Or is it like text within the email document that send it more directly versus going to spam?
Well, again, your AI can help that, but your internet provider, they should have, if they don't have AI, they should have some other techniques that will whitelist, if you will, your email address. You should never go into anybody's spam. If you're going into people's spam, something is not configured properly. Even if you're just sending out a whole lot of, messages, that email provider, whoever you're with, and hopefully you're not doing this yourself, because eventually they're gonna blacklist your IP address. They're gonna not allow you to send out any emails. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that your email addresses and your IP address, it's set up on what we call a clean list. In other words, this is a familiar IP address, or this is someone that I've received some things from before. And there's some techniques you can do, even if, again, I'm just sharing this with you. There's some techniques you can do with emails that will tell the internet using your IP address that I have sent to this person before and you have not. As long as you have sent to one of their friends or someone close to them or someone in their geographical area, you should not be put in spam. So if someone is putting you in spam, I would ask my email provider to reconfigure, or ask them if they have any other way to prevent that. So text keywords and all that won't stop it. You've got to do some other things to make that go away.
Do you have any recommendations, less on a broad perspective, more on a personal perspective? I know lots of people get numerous emails every day, and some people can't get to all of them. Is there something you would recommend just to be able to get people to open it, just in general?
Yeah, so that's going to be tied to your subject line. The subject line is like your headline of a newspaper, right? That's what your subject line is about. So again, I mentioned earlier, you have to have the right copy. You have to have the right image. You have to have the right audience. Okay, so that copy or that message, right? That starts with your subject line. So your subject line should be no more than 5 words. Your subject line should not be a sentence. Okay, it should be a headline. It should be a headline, and that's how, again, a lot of traditional marketing items still come into play here. It's never going, radio, TV, and print are never going away. Okay, but how we're getting the information has changed, though. But so it's that subject line. You want to make sure that you have the correct subject line. But I'm just a big advocate of only sending messages to people that are pre-qualified. That's how we do it, So everybody don't do it that way. They just kind of send you out there and hope something sticks on the wall. That's 10 years ago for us, We don't do it like that. So, any questions? Oh.
Maybe we should hire you.
Well, we're always available. We're always available. We love. Again, we don't sell products. We get phone calls all the time selling cars, houses, even eyelashes. Okay, all kind of phone calls. And we're nice about it, but that's not what we do. We help people get the word out, like the federal government, like the census. That was critical that we, get people to be counted, because that's how your delegates, that's how your legislation process works, is based on how many people is in a certain zip code. And so we do things like that. We help ministries, we help schools, but we don't necessarily sell anything, if you will, other than ourselves.
Right. I think we have our final question here. Do you have 5 top tips to help people propel their business through the digital marketing and to get recognized in responses?
Oh, 5. Wow. Man, it's really 3. It's really 3. But the
3
top,
is good too.
yeah. It's really, again, I would start by understanding, okay, what is your vision? So Terry, okay, she had a clear vision of what she was trying to accomplish. Okay, so you have to have someone who can actually document that for you, and then kind of break that apart and try to help you determine who this message that we're going to write for you should go, who it should go to, who it should be in front of, okay? And then you want to figure out, the second one is, what image are you trying to portray? Because again, I mentioned this earlier, here's the objective. You got to get them to stop. It's really this simple. You have to get them to stop doing this. They can see it, I can see it. Yeah, they can see it. Can you all see this? I can see it.
Yes, sir.
I can see it. If I can see it, they can see it, yeah. So at the end of the day, so the third point is, I want to say again, you want to leverage these social media channels, at least 3 of them, Facebook, Google, and TikTok, or either Snapchat, because you're going to get 3 different generations by doing that. And again, think about, the fourth one is, think about your marketing strategy, generational, okay? So you know, whoever asked the question, you reside in one of those generations. Don't write your marketing strategy just to yourself. In other words, don't write it based on what you like. No, you have to get somebody else to say, okay, how would a millennial say this? Or how can I get a baby boomer's interest in this? So you have to write it, again, like these 5 companies running the world. They don't send one message to everybody. They mean the same thing, but the message is different. That makes sense to anybody? That makes sense? Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Awesome.
So-
Well, thank you, Terry and Ken, for taking the time to share with our MBEs. I'm sure this information, valuable information, will be applied to create greater value and profitability for everyone. We truly appreciate you. And we're at the top of the hour here, just about. And so we're going to take time for another break, go stretch your legs, get some fruit, let the dog out, and be back here in 10 minutes. The next MBE workshop will begin at 10 minutes past the hour. You will be automatically relocated to the pre-assigned MBE workshop. Enjoy your break, and we will see you all at 10 minutes past the hour. Thank you so much for all of your time.
Okay, thank you.